So hi guys, welcome back to our topic of neurodivergence and of various aspects thereof. Uh, I thought I would start with school environment, with learning and teaching strategies, problems, and so on. But I've reread that newspaper article I told you about, and I felt like positively triggered to talk a little bit about ADHD. Uh, of course, again, it's a very wide topic, and in order to discuss most of its aspects, probably we would need long hours, and we should read a lot of publications, a lot of research, uh, a lot of feedback from people who do have ADHD. Uh, but let's say a few things about that, because most of the society associates ADHD with people who are hyperactive, like kids who are running all about, yelling, who cannot concentrate at all, who like I don't know, jump onto the desks at school, hit other kids, and so on. Of course, there are also some people who behave like that, and I can tell you that when I come back to my primary school memories, there used to be one boy like that in my class, and he was really problematic. Uh, he was he was like a storm, like a lightning and thunder and everything in one person. So of course, for most of us, for kids who are like, I know, 7 or 8, he was dangerous. He was really dangerous. Uh, but as far as I remember, and there weren't so many people in my class, so we knew each other pretty well, and our teachers and our parents talked a lot. I remember that that guy was always only punished, and from my perspective of a person who was rather calm, who was really calm, and pretty unproblematic in the school and this kind of environment. Uh, uh, I thought it was the only solution. I was happy when he was punished, because I thought that it would change him. Surprise, surprise! It never changed him. Uh, so this shows also the inability to react appropriately. Because when I think from this long-term perspective, after like 35 years, or almost 35 years, I guess that guy really needed help, and he had never received it. He was only punished by our teachers, by his parents. We kept the distance. However, I remember some short moments when he was in my class when we were in like year 1, year 2. Then he disappeared. He was in some kind of I don't know, private school, and then after some time he got back for some time. I cannot recall the details now, but I remember that sometimes we spent some time together in the common room, and I was totally surprised, because he could be a very nice person, and I spent uh, quite a nice time with him, talking, drawing, playing, and so on. So there were moments when he was a very very nice and social person. Uh, but now, sorry, I have my own epiphany now, because it is connected to the things I'm gonna tell you. Uh, now I understand that he was this calm and nice and friendly person when there were like two of us, or maybe three of us. Of course, there were some other people in the common room, but in some other parts of it. So now I understand that that guy couldn't function in the classroom environment when there were too many people and there were like too many things, sounds, when there was too much input all around, and when he was in a calm environment with only one person, he could really calm down and concentrate. Oh my god, I wasn't planning epiphanies for the very beginning of this video. Anyway, that's the common perception of people with ADHD. The truth is, of course, much more complicated, and the truth is that usually those people look and function completely different, because it's not like only physical hyperactivity. It's it's mental. Sometimes it's really lack of concentration, but sometimes it is like hyper concentration on some things. In this newspaper article I read, the woman who was talking about her ADHD and her life, and as you remember, or if you didn't see that video, it's a newspaper article about a woman who was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 42 after all life struggle. So she said that living in her part of the ADHD spectrum, it's like having a popcorn popping in your head. So these are like hundreds of thoughts per minute, per second, where you want to concentrate on one thing, but there are also hundreds of other thoughts. And yeah, I think this popcorn metaphor is really good. So there are a lot of people who have like that, who would like to concentrate on one thing or one topic, no matter if in the conversation, everyday life, at school, and but there are still other thoughts popping in their head, from all possible or possible options and areas. Actually, now I will give you a hint why it's so important to me. Okay, it's important to me for many reasons, but I'm this kind of person that theoretically I concentrate on one thing and I do one thing, but even while doing this thing, I have hundreds of thoughts about other things, about the things I need to do, about things that happened, about the ideas for new movies, concerts to take the pictures of, and so on. Sometimes I have tough time concentrating on some YouTube videos I watch or I rather listen to. I rather listen to because I do other things at the same time. For example, I cook and I listen to some YouTube content, and then suddenly I realized that I have lost the track of that content, because in the meantime I thought about hundreds of things. What happened at my work, what I'm gonna do at work tomorrow, what somebody told me, what I would like to tell somebody, what happened with this person, what happened with that person, oh my god, what is going on with my dog now, and so on. And it's this constant flow of various thoughts. Fortunately, it is not that disturbing in my case. In my case, it's not that disturbing in my life, because, for example, when I'm at work and I need to concentrate on my work and on my tasks, I do it. I can switch off that overthinking. It's not a problem to switch it off. When I'm at a concert and I take pictures, I take photos, I switch off my overthinking, and I concentrate only on this particular task. But I know people who cannot. And you certainly remember such situations from your school. Maybe it was you, maybe it was your classmate. People who just couldn't concentrate because their thoughts went somewhere else. So it's one of the problems here. And it's not uh, you know the typical reaction of the environment of your teachers, friends, parents is like, why can't you concentrate on one thing? Why are you thinking about everything? Why are you so distracted? Just concentrate. It's that easy. Just concentrate. Really? Trust me, it's not that easy. People do not get distracted because they are sitting like, and they are, I'm, reading a book, or I'm learning. So, what can I do now? Oh yes, I will get distracted. It's a great idea. I will get distracted, and I will think about 100 other things. Of course, they don't do it because of that. It is unfortunately, or fortunately, how some brains work. And it's not the bad will or kind of I don't know, malevolent thinking and so on. It is unfortunately how it happens. So it's not that people do not concentrate because they do not want to. Therefore, nowadays, many years ago, nobody thought about it. Nobody would do it. Nowadays, I know that a lot of teachers make some breaks. Just I know for kids or teenagers or adults to stand up, to stretch, and so on, because the concentration span. Generally speaking, the concentration span of a healthy person is much shorter than a typical lesson or class. And especially if you are already at the university, and normally one class lasts for like 90 minutes, do not expect anyone to concentrate for 90 minutes all the time. This is also what I always knew, and this is how I organized my classes when I was still a university teacher, with breaks, with distractors, with various other things. I will tell you about it later in another video. But sometimes you need to just have a little break. Just a few seconds. That's one thing. Another thing, when you are in the spectrum, especially of ADHD, it's also problems, for example, with time management. A lot of people with ADHD, who are somewhere in the spectrum of ADHD, have terrible problems with time management. And again, the response of the society is like, if you wanted to be organized, you would be. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to do it correctly, you would do it. Mm-hmm. Seriously. No, so some people instinctively, they use a lot of calendars, smartphones, calendars, I don't know, some kind of notes, organizers, and so on. And it can be very helpful. So some people do it instinctively. Some people, after being diagnosed, they are told by their psychologists, doctors, therapists, and so on, that it is a very good idea to have a lot of charts, to have a lot of calendars, planning, and so on. Actually, I have to tell you, I need to do it as well, because I always have hundreds of things to do. I somehow have them in my head, and I remember about them. But writing it down and scheduling it really one after one, what will be done at what time and so on, helps a lot to organize the day. Because otherwise, I will have hundreds of new ideas in the meantime, and I will try to pack all those tasks into my day, and I won't manage. So that's this thing. So it's like it's also very very crucial with time management. Other things that are frequently criticized. Okay, there are so many things I would like to talk about. For example, being permanently tired, exhausted. Of course, there are hundreds of reasons to why people are exhausted, but frequently, even your GPs, your doctors cannot tell you, because they ask how much do you sleep, what you do, and so on. And no matter how long you sleep, how much time you have for relax, you're permanently tired, you're permanently exhausted. uh, yes, I've read quite a lot here. It's also one of the symptoms of ADHD. It's connected with how your brain works, how your brain functions, and the fact that your body and your organism cannot properly rest, actually. Quite a few people who suffer from ADHD, are kind of messy. Really, their houses, their apartments are terrible mess. Okay, here I cannot relate to this symptom. I rather prefer when uh, when everything is really neat and tidy. Also exaggerating a bit. It's another story from another spectrum, probably. But yes, it happens quite a lot, that people are messy, and again they are kind of unable to organize their space, no matter how hard they try. Even if they tidy up, if you help them tidy up and so on, that mess comes back. And it also needs some kind of support and special organization, and like scheduling, tidying up, cleaning your apartment, and so on. What I also find worth mentioning at the beginning, because of course we will come back to the topic of ADHD, is oh, sorry, it was my knee. I'm so old. My joints are so that loud. I just moved my leg, and my knee made this terrible sound. I've just shown a practical example of getting distracted and switching to another topic immediately. Okay, so another thing is over explaining of very basic things, or repeating the same information, the same thing. Of course, it may our behavior is really complex matter, so it also can come from childhood wounding, when you felt like you had to excuse yourself, you weren't listened to, and so on, by your parents or caretakers. We're going to talk about it as well, but it's also quite typical for people with ADHD that they keep on repeating the same information over and over again while talking to somebody. They over explain simple things. It's again because of this process that is going inside. When it comes to such conversational and similar things, it's also very often the necessity to share very personal things, very personal stories relatively quickly at the beginning of kind of a relationship, friendship, and similar, which people who are not in this spectrum sometimes find weird, that this information came a little bit too early. We are not that close, and you share already such information. It's also quite typical. Uh, what else? What else I wanted to say in this very first video, not to make it too long, because I want to discuss other things one after one. Uh, a funny story. Okay, maybe I should first mention how I got really interested. Oh my god! Again, I have already five thoughts in my head, everything what I want to say. It's okay. How I got really interested in ADHD. You know, of course, I've heard about ADHD for you know, almost all my life. Actually, almost all my life. Uh, and As a young person, as a kid, teenager, I didn't really get into it because I thought that these were those people who were like disturbing me, who were too loud, who were too, uh, you know, overwhelming. And then when I was already an adult, and I started teaching, it became kind of important because a lot of my students or course participants, because I taught at various places, they suffered from ADHD, and you know, these were the times when people started saying it openly. So I had to somehow adjust because you know, being a very on the one hand, I have always been a very strict teacher. That was the general opinion about me, but I was this interesting mixture of being a very strict teacher who expected students to learn a lot, but at the same time being kind of a mom to them. My students, my former students, can confirm my office was always full of people, and some of them, okay, most of them came to retake something, some tests, because I always allowed them to do it. We'll talk about it regarding school and teaching. But there were also quite a lot of people who came just for a talk, you know, either just for a talk, small talk, or something like that, but also to share their personal problems and worries, because they knew they could always come to me, and I really treated my students kind of like my kids. Some of them, when we had known each other for a longer time, they were like bold enough to ask me, why don't you have your own kids? Because I don't have my own kids. It's a fact, and I always told them, you know, I in each term, in each semester, I have like 300 of kids. You are enough to me, and partially it was true. So I always felt like kind of ma'am to most of them. Mm, yeah, so it was important to me. So I of course I studied a little bit more ADHD to be able to provide my students with appropriate environment, input, feedback, and general atmosphere, so that they could, you know, function properly, at least in my classroom. Um, but now I understand, you know, I also acted pretty instinctively in some cases. Now I understand that I should have probably studied more. I should have studied more, because now I see how much is left. But in the meantime, as I told you, I also I I think it was more or less at the same time. One of my friend's daughter was diagnosed with ADHD, and I was the person who was the first to see it. Then I started seeing more of my, I don't know, friends, students, and so on, because I still teach a little bit as my extra job. Yeah, then I started listening to a very clever and amazing person. She's a content creator on YouTube. I already mentioned her. Actually, at the first glance, you would say that she is just a tarot reader, because it's the main thing you can see at the first glance. But she has really wide knowledge regarding neurodivergence, ADHD, autism, generally psychology, and the content she creates is always a mixture of both, and it's so informative. it's amazing. Yeah, so I started learning from her a lot. And every time she mentioned something, and it like resonated with me, and I was like, oh my god, it's like me, or it's like somebody I know, especially regarding some people I know, because it was a light bulb moment to me to understand some people better, which is crucial, which is crucial. Oh my god, have you heard it? This it was my foot. More joints. I need to drink some collagen. uh, Coming back to the topic, I started listening to her, and every time she said something that resonates with me, I started to read more about that topic. As I mentioned in my previous video, it was like some medical articles, publications, scientific publications, articles, and so on, and more. So I started studying it, and more or less at the same time, I've one of my friends, a very very clever person. She told me, because she had always known that something was wrong. And of course, there is nothing wrong, but something was not standard with her. And she started dwelling the topic, talking to some psychologists and so on, and she discovered that she's not fully diagnosed, or she hasn't been fully diagnosed yet, but it seems that she has ADHD, and suddenly everything was understandable, and all the problems she has had all her life suddenly got explained. And it was also this kind of aha moment for her and for me. And then more and more people, and suddenly every day I started seeing it. And and I started understanding myself better, because every time my favorite reader, my favorite content creator said something about herself, and I was like, I'm like the same. So I started dwelling into it. For instance, just an anecdote. You see, I drink a lot of water. I drink a lot of water now, because I used to drink too much coffee, unfortunately. Uh, when your brain uh, is in this standard functioning, uh, how what kind of effect does coffee on your body, on your organism have? You get like active, yes. So caffeine is a booster if your brain functions in a standard way. And what do most people say? Most people say, I cannot drink coffee after 5 p.m. because I will not fall asleep. Others say, oh, I cannot drink coffee after 2 p.m. because then I will have problems sleeping. My entire life, coffee had no effect on me. It has never affected my sleeping patterns, my concentration, anything like that. I never get like hyperactive after drinking coffee. And all my life I drank coffee very late in the evening or at night, like 10 p.m., and then went to sleep without any problems. I always laughed, and I was kind of proud of myself that I can fall asleep with a mug of coffee in my head. It often happens to me that I drink something, suddenly, no energy in the body, no electricity, like we say in Oberschlesien, and poof, I sleep, and I have fallen asleep with a mug or cup of coffee hundreds of times or thousands of times in my life. And usually people told me, it's not normal, and I was like, you are not normal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so caffeine has an opposite effect on people with ADHD as on standard people who function in this standard way. So people who have ADHD usually in most cases, they do not get active after that. I have recently read even studies that show that caffeine, especially in the case of ADHD kids who are really hyperactive and have troubles concentrating, that caffeine and coffee can calm them down. And there was a huge debate of some doctors whether it is moral at all to give children coffee. So it's another thing. So if your body if your mind do not respond to caffeine, it's also one of the hints that maybe you belong to our tribe. What I wanted to say as well. Well, again, it's half an hour of my talking. So I will probably finish this video. I will talk more in the upcoming ones. Uh, what I what I wanted to highlight, as I said, nowadays we diagnose kids pretty early. People are more aware of everything, of neurodivergence, various diversities, symptoms, syndromes, illnesses, and so on and so forth. So apart from the fact that probably being a kid in the times of TikTok and I know Instagram, social media is probably a much tougher experience than in our non-digital era when we were born. uh, there are also very positive aspects of this global internet village. But if you were born like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and you've never been diagnosed, you've heard all your life that you are naughty, you are lazy, you are stupid, and so on. If you wanted to try, you would. If you wanted to organize your life, you would, and so on and so forth. But a lot of people get diagnosed now when they are adults, or they are like middle-aged adults, which can be confirmed by probably thousands of cases. And in this paper article I mentioned from Braunschweiger Zeitung, it was partially the story of that woman who was diagnosed and an interview with her, but also interview with a psychiatrist. So with a doctor, and I will mention her name because she's a specialist here who explained some things. So Dr. Silke Gross, she highlighted that it's terrible that people have never been diagnosed all their lives, and that such symptoms used to be ignored and are still ignored by a lot of so-called specialists uh, in numerous cases of their patients. Of course, Dr. Silke Gross, she is highly aware, and she's one of those people who do diagnose and who explain it, who teach us about it. But from her medical experience, she highlighted that she knows, and she has a lot of patients who have been through numerous psychotherapies, other therapies, some kind of checkups, and no one has ever, even though these were doctors, these were psychologists, these were specialists, no one has ever noticed what was wrong with them. And that woman who is the main character in this article, she has also highlighted that all her life she has been in some kind of therapies, and all specialists suggested that she was just depressive, and she was treated for depression. And wherever she went, she has always heard, "Oh, it's just depression, it's just depression," and she was given some kind of medicine, some kind of pills in this regard. And no one has ever noticed that it was ADHD. And now She has her own therapy. She has some hints how she should organize her life, her day, her whole functioning. She's also on some kind of supporting medication, which of course sometimes is necessary, sometimes not. It depends on the person. But now she's happy. She feels accepted. She understands everything, and her life has changed completely. And from my personal experience, I can tell you, for many years, when I felt that something was okay, let's call it wrong with me, and I had problems, not with functioning, because I have always been able to function more or less normally. Okay, maybe saving too much information in my head. Uh, but I felt for a very long time I felt really unhappy. So I also turned to some specialists, and everyone kept on diagnosing me with depression, with some other things that have never resonated with me, and no one has ever suggested, or no one has ever thought that maybe it's kind of neurodivergence in my case. And yes, you know, it's tough. It's tough, and I feel for everyone who feels that something is wrong. Let's call it wrong, although it's not wrong. It's different. Okay, so I really feel for everyone who feels that something is different, but they haven't received any answer. So it's just a hint. We're gonna talk more about it. But what I want to highlight, remember, no matter if you feel that you might be in the ADHD spectrum, or if you are sure that you are not, but you think of other people. First of all, it's not mental illness, and you stop saying, oh, such people should be isolated, or something like that. So first of all, remember that it's not an illness; it's a whole spectrum. So everyone can be and is different, and may have other challenges, but also other positive aspects. Like being extra creative, and so on. And if you have a person who is neurodivergent, no matter what kind of neurodivergence it is, autism, or ADHD, or other things that we will also mention, try to be a little bit open and flexible, and understand that each of us has their own brain and mind, and it can be slightly different how we function, how we perceive things. And refrain from telling people, if you wanted to concentrate, you would, or yelling that they got distracted, because it is not their fault. So it will be all, because it's already very long, and in the upcoming videos we will talk more about some other aspects. So thank you a lot for your attention. Bye.